Hello, hello, and welcome everyone to another edition of Live Better, brought to you by your friends, my friends. I think of them as family. Wave.video. That's right. Everything you see today was created using the Wave.video editor, and everything being streamed is being streamed through the Wave Studio. It's one tool to rule them all, as I like to say. That being said, we want to make sure that you never miss an episode of Live Better or our other shows, such as Feature Friday, which, by the way, a little birdie told me that this Friday there might be some really cool new features being released. So you might want to tune in. And how do you do that, you might ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. All you have to do is subscribe. Follow us on Facebook. You can go to our website, of course, and you can sign up there, and we'll email you as new features are released. New shows are about to come out. You can even click a link and it'll put it into your calendar. Basically, if you see something with Wave Video and you can click it, we want you to click it. And that way we'll just have a better shot at making sure that we stay in touch with you. Sounds like a plan? I think it does. Wow, what a week last week. I know many of you are going to be here today that were part of our incredible Wave Camp. In fact, let's see who we've got joining us right now. I think there's a few campers hanging out here with us today. We've got Karen and Katie and J.S. Gilbert and Claudia, all fellow campers. We had a good time learning some of the basics of the Wave Studio and Wave Editor. And rumor is that there's discussions about, I heard my audio was garbled. I'm curious to find out what's going on. Am I Gilberting? By the way, that's a phrase. I heard a rumor that there's a Wave Camp 2.0 where we might be doing some advanced features. By the way, if you are tuning in on YouTube, we had an issue. Okay. Dimitri, our founder, posted about it yesterday. And I believe they actually asked us not to stream to YouTube as Wave users, I believe until tomorrow. But we already had this set up. And so that's my bad. So if you're joining us on YouTube and we sound a little, well, under the weather, then join us over here on Facebook. That's where we are. Okay. And Gilberting is actually a phrase you can look up in the Urban Dictionary. It's named after one of our dear fans and fellow Wave video users, J.S. Gilbert. It has to do with your audio when you're on video. So check that out, and you'll have a good time with that. All right. So our topic today, we're going to be learning about ways you can use video to sell your product. And I'll tell you what, some years ago when I was in high school, I learned how much easier things can be when you use the power of video instead of using, well, sometimes in real life. See, we had a project at school, and as part of mine, I incorporated one of my little fun little talents of juggling, decided I would juggle flaming torches. Now, doing that inside the classroom probably wasn't one of my best ideas, but I did it anyway, not realizing there were no windows and the ventilation wasn't so great. We ended up setting off the alarms at the school. And so the next time a project came around, I just felt like fire was a theme. And I decided to go ahead and, well, use fire again. But this time we did it outside and we only videoed it so that we can share our vision with others. And our guest today is actually someone who is absolutely incredible when it comes to using video to share products. But without further ado, let's bring him on in. How are we, my friend? Welcome.
Wow, there's so much fanfare. It's like coming on during like for a WWE match or something. Like you've got like you've got intro music. It's like a whole thing. I feel so fancy.
Well, we don't do that for just anyone. Actually, we do it for everyone. So
yeah, I don't recall getting input on what music I came into. I mean, if I was asked, I could have picked, I probably would have picked some Aerosmith song from like 1994 or 95 or something like that, and really come on with a bang. But I'll take it. It's fine.
Oh my goodness. I'm getting some messages because we had an issue with YouTube with the tool, and the audio when we were streaming was sounding garbled, but it was fine everywhere else. And we're streaming to both your YouTube and my YouTube.
Yeah.
So everyone, if you're watching on either YouTube channel, come on over to Facebook. We're streaming on Matt's pages and Wave.video's page, the Wave.video community, and hang out with us there. I apologize. We shouldn't have streamed to YouTube today because there is a glitch that's being fixed. So, all righty. Anyway, that's a bummer. Matt, before we kind of get into a little intro and who you are, we do want to remind everyone to make sure that you're using the wonderful hashtag #LiveBetter. Share your comments, share your questions about using video to sell products, which is what we're going to talk about today. And at the end of that, we are going to be picking, as we always do, 3 lucky winners. One's going to win one of our Wave.video coffee mugs, another our sticker pack with the coveted yellow Chad that you can stick wherever you'd like. And of course, Matt is giving away. Matt, what are you giving away today as the grand prize?
A copy of my book.
Try not to sound so excited about it.
I'm going to. I also, along with it, as a bonus, I'll read it to you to bed every night for the next 30 days. How about that?
Wow, there you go.
Hopefully, I'm totally kidding. There is no way I would commit to something like that. My kids would kill me.
I was going to say, I hope it's at least like, through phone or Zoom and not in person, because that would be pretty hardcore.
Also, hopefully my book doesn't actually actively put people to sleep, but.
Oh my goodness. Now, Matt, you have your own agency. You create video ads for others. You're kind of a guru at it, but how did you get into the whole video game?
I used to run video at a bunch of like big publishers. So Business Insider and New York Magazine, and Now This. I built 3 lifestyle channels. I used to run video at Men's Health, Women's Health, and all of these. So I came from the publishing world, where I built these big organic social video channels before I became, an entrepreneur and did that whole thing. That's how I get into it.
That whole journalism thing there, huh?
Yeah.
Yes. Living the dream of being self-employed and the freedom and the headaches that come together of doing that all in one. Well, I'll tell you what, I want to dive deep into some of the things you suggest people can do with their video, with their live streaming to sell their products. But before we do that, just going to share this quick little promo, little thing to kind of get you excited about Wave.video, in case anyone here with us today hasn't seen what it can do. And that is, of course, only if I had set it up so that it would play. And that is one of the joys of live streaming. So let's do it now. There you go, guys. Sign up today. You can try it for free. It is an absolutely incredible tool, and I'm a huge fan, of course, of it. All righty, so let's jump into some stuff here, Matt. Are you ready? Are you ready for the quiz?
Sure. I feel like you're so far away, though. Chad, you're like 2 blocks away. What's up?
I am social distancing. It's just a very important thing to do there. But by the way, if any of the team, if maybe you can think about it, is grab a link to the Facebook show and share it in the comment on the YouTube that's going on. We can bring people over here. All right. So we talked a little bit about how you got into using video video, but how did you get into using it for actually business building and for selling products?
I mean, it's kind of an obvious thing that you have to do, really. When you're distanced from people and you're trying to actually sell something that is tangible, you immediately are going to bring up a large amount of objections. And is this valuable? Is this a scam? Is this real? Is it going to look like this when I actually buy it? Is this worth it? Is this durable? And the best way to really deal with all of that, the idea, if we go back to, early days of buying things online, and the objections we deal with now is just simply that we don't know. We can't go to the store and touch things. And since we can't actually touch things, it puts a lot of pressure on us trying to sell products online, because we only have our marketing messaging and our communication with customers to be able to convince them to become buyers, because they can't touch anything, they can't feel anything, they can't try anything. And video is really the only way right now to do that. And it's evolving with VR and AR and getting even better at becoming almost tangible, but nobody's really doing that yet in any meaningful way. And so it's just sort of obvious. It's kind of impossible to sell something without video in any real way. I mean, as a large part of what you do, because otherwise it doesn't feel real to people.
Sure. What about now specifically with live streaming? How can live streaming be used as a good sales channel?
Well, live streaming gives you the opportunity to sort of use it live. I mean, if I'm selling a product through live streaming, you actually get to show someone in a completely unfiltered way what it looks like, feels like. You can touch it, all of these types of things, right? So like if I'm selling this phone, like, and I'm holding it up, you can see how big it is next to my face. You can like, I can touch it and be like, oh, this is like glass, like it feels smooth. But then when I hit the Apple logo, it feels a little bit rough. Like all of you can sort of like talk in real time about what the experience would be like, almost as if you were buying it. And that's just not like you were in a store, like trying it out, like testing it, seeing what it feels like in your hand. That's not something that we do in recorded video very often, because we just don't have, I mean, we don't have the time. It's all too curated. Sometimes user generated content can do that, but one of the best ways to do it is just to simply be like, this is the experience of like holding and touching and using this thing. And so you get the opportunity to actually mix all the great things about user generated content and all the good things about social selling and sort of mix them into one piece.
Gotcha. J.S. Gilbert, I believe, is asking how do we know that you guys aren't a deep fake, which is a very valid question, I believe, to ask.
I am actually.
Yeah. Yep. Actually.
Sorry, dude.
Yep. I'm doing both characters today, actually, believe it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry to disappoint everybody.
Yep. Just when you thought it couldn't get worse, there's two of me. Oh my goodness. So, okay. So as a live streamer, then, you feel that there is a benefit to showing people my product in real time. Obviously they can engage, they can ask questions and talk to me during that. But as far as like showing it in real time and real life and real case uses unfiltered, if that is a benefit, why, when we create video ads and stuff, do we like hype them up and add all this extra flair to it?
Well, I mean, there's a place for everything, and I think this is one of the things that drives me nuts sometimes, is that there's always sort of like, oh, there's as if there's just one way to do this. There is a place for extremely curated content that has very specific marketing messaging, and there's a place to essentially be voyeuristic and step in for the customer in the store, and give them that experience. And I think you just need all of it, because when you're live streaming a product, like this phone is not going to look as sexy in a live stream. But if I take my $4,000 camera and $3,000 lens and I do some really great juicy sexy b-roll of it, then it's going to make people's mouth water. And you kind of need both of those things. You have to grab attention, and you need to overcome objections, and you need to prove why your solution is unique and what problem your product solves. And you need all of those things to really do that. But I'll tell you what I would definitely do, and I don't think almost anybody is doing it. I mean, if I was running an e-commerce store, I would do a live stream on a regular cadence once every couple of weeks and have a very specific angle with all of these things. And like today, we're going to talk about durability, like maybe take the biggest objections and then whatever, and then you could talk about it, etc. You go on for about 30 minutes, and then you give that to a video editor to cut it up and start using the best pieces in your ads as you retarget people down the funnel. One of the great things about live streaming, and this is actually a good, so Eric asked the question about you need viewers first, but what about live streaming as a platform to create long form content that you can slice up into a bunch of other content while you're building your audience? Because a lot of people have trouble even finding time to create valuable content.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so what's amazing is, like building an audience on any platform is a slow burn unless you already have an existing audience to leverage. But what you do, I mean, that is very valuable video content that you can use across all of your channels.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. Eric's a great guy, by the way. He's over in Germany, and he's doing some really cool things with live streaming and Wave. So what would you say the top secrets to selling products with video are? For example, J.S. Gilbert just asked about the tricks to wowing them in the first 5 seconds.
Well, I don't know that you need to wow people in the first 5 seconds necessarily with a live video. I think that is more of a slow burn, but you certainly need to wow them in the first 5 seconds in a video ad. I actually I put a tweet. I tweeted about this earlier. There are 2 ways to have a hook that will draw people in. One is incredible, crazy footage that will clearly blow people away and make them stop their thumbs, a thumb stopper. I never know what's on camera. Am I on camera? No, now I am. Okay, stop the thumb. And then the second is to use an empathetic headline that makes your target audience be sort of magnetically attracted to what you're going to be working on. So you're often talking about the problem. And I think the biggest secret isn't really a secret at all. It's talk more about the problem than you talk about the solution and the features. Because a lot of times people don't know that they, like if I'm let's say that I'm promoting Wave, this platform, right? So I want to spend
before you go into details, could you say that phrase exactly one more time, and maybe we can get the producer to put that up on the screen. Talk more about
the problem than about the features and the solution. Because okay. So for example, let's take Wave. Let's be meta. So if I'm selling Wave, I don't want to talk about, hey, do you want a place to do live streaming? Hey, do you want a place where you can where you can have all the tools that you need to create videos for social media? Try Wave. We're the best. That's not the best way to sell it, right? because that's not what people want. People don't want to make video. People want what making video will do for them. Do you want to grow your audience exponentially so you can triple your revenue over the next year? Oh, yeah, I want that. Great. Video is the best way to do that, and Wave is the best platform to build video. Oh, okay. So that's marketing. And you want to do the same thing with video. So if you hop on a live stream or you're doing a video ad and all you're talking about is it has a 12 megapixel camera and it has 3 lenses and it has a flashlight on the back and it's faster than any generation that we've ever had. Okay. But what if I don't know that I have the problem that your product solves? Like, I've worked with a lot of Shark Tank clients, and that was the deal. That's always the problem, is that it's such an innovative, weird solution that people don't even know they have the problem. So if you're just selling a solution, you're selling them a solution to a problem that they don't have. It's like selling a plumber to somebody who doesn't have any busted pipes or issues with their, toilet. I mean, they don't need a plumber because they don't have the problem, But if that plumber attempts to sell a service where it's like, listen, you need a plumber because did you know that your pipes are corroding all the time? And this is just happening over and over again. And if you don't have a plumber coming in regularly, you're going to actually have to spend a lot more money when you do hire a plumber, when everything goes terribly, terribly wrong. And now I've put the problem in their mind. And so now they understand that they have a problem and they're going to start getting interested in the solution. You need to do the same thing in your live streams. If you just pop on and you're trying to sell something and all you're talking about are features, then you've essentially sliced your potential audience reach into down by 80%, because you're only talking to the people that are ready to buy exactly this solution and know they have exactly this problem. You could expand that so much greater if you sort of opened up your live stream talking about the unique problems, right? Do you have an Android phone that seems to cause you more headaches than it does actually do what you need it to do, like communicate with the world? Oh, well, there's another piece of bloatware that just popped up on your phone and just messed everything up. So now you got to deal with that. And maybe you took it to the store and they were like, yeah, that Samsung phone's out of date. You want to just fix that? What if you never had to worry about your phone breaking? What if it just worked? Right. And so that might be how I would sell an Apple phone if I was doing a live stream for an Apple phone. And that's just based on my own experience trying to go with the Samsung phone.
By the way, guys, just a quick little break. Reminder, we want to shout out our sponsors for this week's show, Samsung. And for all of, I'm just kidding. They're not.
Sorry.
No, I like that. So sometimes you have to kind of make them more aware of the problem that maybe they didn't even know they had, or it's just not top of mind. Is that kind of what I'm getting here?
Sometimes the thing is, you always need to do this. People buy because of emotion. So if for example, Wave wanted to just get new members signing up for the Wave.video platform that were already wanted to make video, then they're losing a whole section of the market of people that are not convinced yet about the problems that video can solve. So you need to take them on that marketing journey, and so many people are not doing this that there's a huge possibility there. And it expands your potential market. You make a lot more money doing this because it brings people into the fold. And what you can do is with your live streams, you should always have some sort of topic, right? The worst thing that people do on live streams, from my own opinion, observing, is you hop on a live stream and the first thing is the first 5 minutes are is my camera working? Just waiting for a couple more people to join. Let me just okay. I mean, no, just have an angle, treat it like a video that's just going to live out there in the wild, where if people watch it from the beginning, they would be wrapped right from the beginning, because all of this stuff, with a few exceptions, are recorded and they turn into content. So you want to treat it that way. And then come in with angles that aren't just about the features. Come in today we're going to talk. So for example, today we're going to talk about the biggest problems that people face with text messaging on the different devices that they use. I don't know why I'm using it's actually a tough one, the Apple Samsung thing. But
I was starting to wonder if, like, are you going through a thing right now with your phone? Is there
No, I'm fine. I was just like at the beginning, I was trying to like I was looking around my desk for something to demonstrate like tangibly holding, and that's all I've got on my desk. I've got AirPods. I'm an Apple fanboy, so that's all I got here. But
I love this comment here, by the way. I believe it's JS. He says he's been speaking to audio podcasters about using Wave and trying to explain how video clips can really work for them. I guess, especially the video podcasting world, as that's becoming a bigger and bigger thing. Sorry, threw that off while you were looking at your phone issue there.
yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because this was one of the questions somebody had. Was I've got them in, they're watching my live stream, I've kind of got them convinced there's a problem. But that being said, are there techniques, maybe some may even call them gimmicks, of things? Sorry, that's not it. Here we go. Well, where did I put the question, Chad? The question is, are there techniques that you suggest? For example, having a discount or something to try to get them to buy in the moment now.
Well, one cool thing that you could do, if you're specifically doing it with a product, which would be cool, would be to have a bunch of like cool B-roll, like that you put into a video clip, and you have it on a loop, and it sort of plays occasionally in split screen, like if you were something like what we're looking at now or whatever. And you sort of have that like sexy sort of B-roll going on while you're talking in the live stream, so that they can do both of those things. Because most live players, you can just sort of roll a video clip at the same time, right? And so if you have a video clip rolling in one spot and you have you in the other spot, you can sort of do all those things. I think the other thing is have a very specific offer tied to each time that you go live. Special for live viewers right now. And what I would do is I might tease this at the beginning and tell them towards the end of the live stream, we're going to be giving you an insane offer that you can't resist, and have a very specific, whatever it is, a very specific discount code or bundle offer or whatever it might be, and tease that towards the beginning, and then at the end do it, right? So what that does is it keeps people engaged and watching and doing all of the marketing homework that needs to happen for them to be able to convert when that offer actually comes around towards the end of your live stream. And hopefully you're not live for an hour talking about a product. Nobody wants to see that, right? Just, nice, quick and easy. I'm in front of you. I care. We're talking about the problem, and we're talking about, all of that stuff. That's why if you go and look at like the old school infomercials, and there's still infomercials, those 30-minute things, they were really about two things. Like they only spent like 10% of the time talking about the product, but they would spend the other like 90% of the time talking about the problem, highlighting transformations, testimonials, and things like that. Because emotion sells. Like logic can help seal the deal, but people don't buy things for logical reasons. They buy things for emotional reasons. So you have to spend most of your time catering to that. But yeah, anyway, that was a tangent. But have that offer buried at the end of your thing.
Those are great points. And of course, one of the things we do now, is not technically an offer to buy anything at the end, of course, but at the end of the show, we give away prizes. And by the way, guys, make sure that you're commenting so that we know you're here, so that we can enter you into the chance to win a copy of Matt's book that we're going to be giving away at the end of the show. So make sure you're doing that. Also, it was nice to see Jim Fuse pop up. He did ask about what happens if you have a face for audio. I would say, you know what, you still go for it and do it. And Jim, I think you're doing great. So he's actually
I would say that Jim, who makes that decision? Do you make that decision, Jim, that you have a face for audio? I mean, Chad and I are here, and we're ugly as sin. So I mean, I don't know. I don't really know. Well, I don't know. I guess Chad looks good. Like The hat really ties the room together, to use a Big Lebowski reference. So.
Yeah, it does. It does. That's nice. Well done there. Well done.
If I didn't know you that well, I wouldn't have ripped that out, Chad.
Right?
But
Don't
anyway.
make me pull up pictures of the Captain America mask. So
I know, yeah. I just wanted to fit in and be part of the crowd.
Just to let you guys know, we both went to a masquerade party in San Diego at a conference. And my wife and I came, with the whole kind of Phantom of the Opera dressed down, to the nines, mask. And Matt shows up in his kid's Captain America mask that he borrowed at the last second before he got on the plane. It was brilliant. It was super awesome. So
yeah, it was right before I got on the plane. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do here. So I just went into the playroom and grabbed the first thing that I saw.
That was awesome. Yes, I did marry up. Let's see here. Let's take a look at some of the things we got here from the guests. Katie was asking about that offer, that you're trying to keep them to the end of the live stream. Would you suggest that they keep that offer evergreen on their replay?
Yeah.
Gotcha. And this from JS. For some reason, JS has had an issue with his name not showing up in his little profile there. Nowadays, as a creative, we explore overall approaches, which can include funnels, streaming ads, audio, video, live, outdoors. And he likes that Wave works really well into all of that, which is true because you can create all of those assets in one tool. Appreciate the shout out there, JS. All righty. So let me ask you this: with your video ads and as you're creating these for clients, what are the ways that you suggest or help them even integrate with the video advertising process that allows them to follow up after the view, after they've seen it or have engaged in any way with the video or the live show?
Well, there's the obvious ways like retargeting. One good tip that I want to make sure that everybody here has is, make sure that you are creating ways to track the amount of money that your live streams, for example, are making you. So whether you're putting a UTM parameter on that at the end, if that's not pretty enough, because you're probably putting it in a comment or whatever, just create like a little page on your Shopify store or whatever, duplicate it, make a little landing page, and then have a very specific page so you can actually see how much money those are making you, and then create specific offers for the live streaming audience. But the best way to follow up with people, especially in this day and age of data being lost, is you want to obviously have a CRM that is directly capturing people's email and profiles and such so that you can continue to have relationships with these people, and SMS and such. And then you can use that to build a very, a nice, solid audience. Like one of the things, like as I get older, I get way less interested in vanity, or I see my vanity for what it is, like just vanity. Mm-hmm. And it's sad because so much of the things that we do are for status or whatever, like it just sort of goes back to whoever had that comment about like not having an audience. Like so much of it is just vanity. Like if you have like 300 people that just like don't really care about you watching, it's just not going to move the needle for you,
Kate wants to know if you have a CRM, by the way, that you recommend.
If I'm in a service-based business, probably ActiveCampaign is what I would recommend. If you are in e-commerce, you should be using Klaviyo. I use Drip for my email marketing, for my personal brand, and like for the agency and stuff like that.
Gotcha. By the way, if you're joining us late and you're on YouTube, we apologize. We're having an audio issue, but only on YouTube. So we're sharing the links in the comments so you can join us here on Facebook. And Matt and I will both make sure we delete those off the YouTube channel when this is over. So
yeah.
Do you feel like people overthink their videos when they're creating ads? Or do they not think enough?
I think they think about the wrong things.
What do you mean?
It sort of goes back to what we were talking about before. People get really obsessed with the stuff that they sell, rather than the problems that they solve. So they tend to focus on the wrong things, or they just focus on they only focus on features. They make a bunch of stuff about the features because that's what excites them, you know. But that doesn't necessarily excite people that aren't ready for you yet. Like you're not your ideal target customer. Like that's one of the things it's one of the mistakes that a lot of especially like founders of companies make, is they think that they are their own ideal target customer, but they're not, because they're so far down the psychological journey that they're not ready to meet people where they are in the acquisition phase of having relationships with customers who sort of want you to buy them a drink first. So that's one of the biggest problems, the biggest problems that I see, and it's just, that's why it's good to have consultants, or just like people who are being real with you, looking objectively at your business. I often say that I'm extremely good at consulting, but very bad at consulting myself because it's very hard to see the forest through the trees. That's why
Right,
I pay for coaches and things,
the
because
shoemaker's kids and all that, right?
yeah.
Let me here,
So,
here let me ask,
it's important.
let me ask you this one, because you have a background, theater, you're director, that side of the camera, that side of the stage, primarily. As a business owner, whether I'm selling a course or a product or something tangible, whatever the case may be, how do I know if being in the ad or being in the show, being on camera, is the right call for me? Do I need to be the face? And how do I know I need to have somebody else do this part?
People overthink this way too much. Like, who cares? Like, do it all. Put yourself on camera, put other people on camera, whatever. I mean, like, really, like, people overthink it. Like, should I be the face of the brand or whatever? I mean, I would say, as a general rule, like, if you're selling an information product where the information comes from you, I think you need to be on camera in some way. Because I don't, because I mean, ultimately, they're not buying the course; they're buying you, and
Right.
they're buying the unique solution to their problems. So they have to feel that you understand them, and that just comes from empathy, and that is something that is going to be more deeply done with you right directly in front of them. So really, they just want to hear from you, and they want to hear from other people that you've helped. If you're at an e-commerce store, do whatever you want. I mean, like, I don't think you have to be on camera at all if you run a store like that. A lot of stores don't want to do that because they're setting up their brands for acquisition, and they don't want to be too deeply tied to it. They want the brand to like live on beyond them and have it be its own personification. That's fine. And you want to put customers in front of those people as much as possible. Or spokespeople or whatever, or like what we do, where we do like video ads with actors and stuff. Like, they're not
Right.
spokespeople, but they're like stand-ins. People love to see people. But yeah, I just don't think you should overthink it. People love to overthink stuff like this, like as if like making a decision in one direction or the other will lead to massive increases or decreases in revenue. That's just not the case.
Do you have a video ad that you are most proud of?
I have a lot. I don't know. I made a lot that I'm, I mean, I always talk about the one that I made for Hydrovive like a year and 10 months ago or something like that, because it was so successful that it kickstarted like this now core type of video ad that we make, which is like funny video with actor talking to camera. And I acted in it myself. I shot it myself in my own kitchen and stuff, but it's made them like $6-7 million or more. I don't know at this point. And I'm proud of it, even though it's not like the most beautiful thing we ever made, because we kept iterating on that and making it better and better. And we had professional actors and everything. But that one sticks out in my mind just because it sort of started a revolution.
Nice, nice. All right, we're about to take a little break from all this and do a little something fun. By the way, if you have some questions here, now is your chance to let us know what you'd like to ask the one and only Matt Johnston, video ad guru, superstar, extraordinaire, all the superlatives, all the words, all the fluff. Make sure that you drop those in the comments and ask him those things. But before we do that, any last little words of wisdom that you want to throw out to those who are looking to use video and live streaming to sell their product?
Just do more of it, and don't do more of it, and think about the entire customer journey when you do it, and try not to create rules or axioms in your mind based on limited tests. And what I mean by that is, it's very, very often people will say, oh, this type of video doesn't work for me because one time I saw a very small amount of stats that made me think that it doesn't work, or I was emotionally hurt by that or something. Like, for example, if the first time you live stream only one person shows up or nobody shows up, then you all of a sudden decide you shouldn't be doing it. If that happened, Twitch wouldn't exist. Twitch is a great example of a platform where people just grind and build community until they can build a following. And it's hard because there's not a lot of discovery there. But you just have to keep delivering value. You just have to keep coming and delivering value if you believe in the business reasons for doing it. And that's my other advice, is that a lot of people do things, especially in organic social media, that don't have business reasons associated with them. I mean, I think you should ask yourself, with every piece of video you do, whatever sort of live video you create, whatever it might be, you should be asking yourself, how is this directly tied to monetization with my company? Will this is this activity that is going to make me money? If the answer is I'm not sure, you should probably find a reason or a way to leverage it first to create revenue before you just start doing it. Like, don't just do it because I mean, this is like, we chase other people that are like, shiny new tactic here, shiny new tactic there. But ultimately, your time is super valuable. So have a reason for doing it and a very specific strategy for, you have to like overthink the strategy, but it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go live every couple of weeks and make a very specific offer. And then I'm going to test and see how much money it's made me so I can directly tie my time to revenue generated. Great. Then you should do it. Right. Kate asks, what steps of the marketing funnel do you use? Am I not supposed to read these?
Oh, yeah, that's
What
fine.
steps of the market? I'm sorry, you know how it works. Marketing funnel you use live videos for, and which steps benefit from videos the most? Yeah, I think that live videos, I mean, honestly, like if like with live videos as part of a marketing strategy, I like them in the middle of the funnel and the bottom of the funnel. And I like doing more curated, scripted, thought of like deep thought stuff at the top of the funnel, because at the top of the funnel, they're getting to know us. They're starting to understand what we do. They're starting to understand what the problem is that it solves, and they're getting the emotional resonance of that, and they feel the brand personified. So you're starting to build a relationship. Live videos are a little rougher around the edges, and a lot of what they're going to do, like if I would say, if there's one way, if you were like, Matt, what should I use live videos for in my business? I would say use it to bust the biggest objections to buying your product. So if I was selling Wave, I might do a bunch of stuff with at the top of the funnel that's highly curated, like about the problems that Wave solves in your business. You should be using Wave to be able to build the audience that you want to build that will be ready to buy, right? And then we talk about that problem. And then we can use live videos later to talk about, like, well, let me show you the actual features. Or you're probably wondering what it's like under the hood. Like, I buy it and what is it like? And then you can like do all that type of stuff in the live. So you get an opportunity to really build it. And if you have a membership plan or you have like a recurring revenue model with people, it's a great way to just sort of keep people having a direct relationship to you, so they feel like tied to you, so they'll keep paying you over and over again, like this show, for example. But yeah, it's a great strategy for that, for middle and bottom of the funnel.
Yeah, I think I agree with that as well. There's lots of different, it's a great way also with people once they're kind of in the funnel and they start to become part of the community and whatnot, and they're kind of in that. It gives them a chance to really connect with others as well because of the engagement component of it and being able to comment, and then people start having side conversations as well within it. So it's a really incredible tool with what we can do. So, Matt, I appreciate you jumping in here with us. We're going to do a little something fun. We always do every week. Now, this is just completely off topic, but you know what? After talking shop for so long, we sometimes just feel like it's time to have a little fun. All right, this is a little ditty that we call This or That. It's very simple. We're just going to put a couple things up on the board, and your job is simple. It's to choose which one you would prefer. Do you think you got it? You good?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, and we want
as long as they aren't things that are going to get me in trouble, like like, I don't know, like pick which supermodel you think you like better or something like that.
No worries. All right.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Producer, make sure we skip question number 3. Skip question number 3. Abort.
or like all of a sudden you found pictures of my kids and you're like, which one? This one or that one? And like, oh God, I don't want them to see that in 5 years.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, luckily for you, we don't have those. Guys, we want you to play along. Here we go. This or that. City streets or country trails?
City streets.
Yeah.
Do you want like a why for all of these? I can give you a little
we
why.
ask. I'm more of a country trails guy myself. So why city streets?
Yeah. Well, I spent nearly 20 years of my life living in Manhattan. It's where I grew. It's where I became an adult. It's where I sort of built everything. So
makes sense. And I'm down here in Texas, so if we can get away, we like to get away from it all. All right, that's fair enough. Would you rather show up underdressed or overdressed?
Overdressed, always, right? Yeah. I mean, perception is reality, and if you want, I was talking to somebody the other day. There's this great psychologist called Jordan Peterson. He's really famous, and he had this whole thing the other day saying why he always wears suits to everything these days, because he feels like everybody just sort of, and Chad, you understand this, obviously, look at you. He feels like everybody just sort of runs around these days acting like a grown-up teenager with like hats and t-shirts and like, work from home mentality. Nobody has to actually care about what they look like. So anyway, I don't know. I would rather show up overdressed to anything, because at the very least, I'd be able to peacock a little bit.
Well, in my defense, I am wearing sweatpants, so there's that.
Well, perception is reality. See,
exactly.
I don't know anything about.
That's why I don't do the show standing on my head. All right, multiplication or division?
Multiplication. I'm really good at it. I just have a lot of it super memorized. I was an AP math guy and AP calculus guy and everything growing up. I can do multiplication pretty simply. Nice.
I think I'm probably more of a division guy. That's just, I don't know. I think my head goes more into the division. I just thought this was an interesting question. It'd be interesting to maybe one day dig deep into it to see what the different mindsets are of people who feel different ways. One of the
I
comments
think
we're getting here.
I think the multiplication is just a little bit harder to do mentally because it's not so clean. So, like for example, if you say what's 3 divided by 2, you just don't know the answer, right? Because the answer is a decimal. So it's just it's a little bit harder. But with multiplication, it's so easy to memorize pretty much everything on like the main table with every number against each other. Do you know what I mean? Like
No,
it's
that's
essentially
fair.
like you have to think
That's
about
fair.
fractions and know fractions more deeply. Like you could say, oh, well, it's 3/2, but what is 3/2 expressed as a number? Well, it's probably like 1.2347. You can't just do it, right? You need a calculator to do some.
No, that's
I got a reason for it. I don't know where I pull this stuff out of, but
no, that's
true.
That's fair. That's fair enough. It's also 1.5, by the way. Yeah, I'm sure there's some coach who's like, well, if you look at it, people with this have more of a surplus mentality, an abundance mentality versus a limited, and blah 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 blah. Okay, next one.
That's interesting.
Peanut butter.
Yeah,
You're smooth. Okay. I'm a crunchy. This may be so far the biggest game of this or that, with as far as me being completely opposite the guest.
Yeah, why do we get along?
I guess it's the director actor thing. I don't know. I have no idea.
I used to eat crunchy when I was a kid, but I don't know.
Would you rather owe money or a favor? This is a tough one. Opposites attract. This is true. This is true.
This is the most fun one so far because it's hard.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to owe people money. I think I'd rather owe a favor because you know what, like the secret to happiness is, I think?
Not owing anything.
No, I think the secret to happiness is giving. Because when you give, it gives you when you give to someone else and they're very grateful, there's not it gives you a very real sense of joy, I think. And a real true happiness. Have you ever done that? Like you've given someone to something to someone, they've just been so grateful, and
no,
you just
not at all. I'm incredibly selfish.
Yeah, it just fills you up with so much joy, and you'd probably feel that when you did the favor. Whereas owed money is kind of like, when am I getting it? So, yeah, I think owe a favor.
Eric says he needs to learn more English words. I'm curious which what he's speaking of exactly. Maybe owing a favor. Maybe that's a word. We don't use that as often, I think, as maybe we used to. Hey, can you do me a favor or whatever? But yeah, I think I'm the same though. I'd rather owe a favor. I'd rather be able to say, hey, let me know when I can help you out. Thanks for helping me. Yeah. Money just. Yeah, that could throw a little wrench in the thing. All right, last one.
Oh, these are fun. I want to do more.
Week in the house with really little kids or really old people.
Oh, little kids. Yeah. I've always loved little kids. I used to work at a preschool when I was in college, and now I've got my own preschoolers. I'm the guy that and I'm 40 now. I'm not super old or anything, but I'm 40. And when I was in my 30s and I didn't have kids because I had kids, so I have a 6 and a 4-year-old. I used to, when I had a ton of energy, and I still do this, but I'm the guy that just jumps up and plays with your kids like superhero games and just gets into their imagination, and I'll be the bad guy and they'll be the good guy, and we'll run around the room destroying your house, having fun using imagination, secret powers, and yeah, that's my answer to it.
I love it. And again, totally different. For me, working in a preschool would be like you might as well just send me to prison. That would make me nuts. I love kids. I love doing things with kids or whatever. But a week in the house, just me and a bunch of little kids, I would rather do the old people. I love old people. I love hearing their stories. I love listening to their wisdom and their experiences. That's for me. I love that particular component of it. And not that I hate kids, but a week in the house with just me and really little kids, I don't know. It could get dangerous. I think it could become a dangerous situation. And Eric shared that favor in German is gefallen. So the German word for that.
That's
So
interesting. I wonder what the etymology of that is. It's strange that the word fallen is in it.
yeah, interesting. Kate also wants to know how old are people? Are old people in their 50s? I remember it says really old people, not just old people, but really old people. And as far as explaining what that means, same as we didn't say how young really little kids are. We're going to allow you to decide for yourself whether you fit that category or where that cutoff is. I just feel like that would be an incredibly bad move on either of our parts to define that right now. Oh my goodness. Well, Matt, listen. One of the things we like to do though before we end is a way to say thanks for being here. Is everybody kind of has their elevator pitch or their little moment, and
Oh, I
here
thought you were going to say, actually, Matt, you win the prize and you get a copy of your book that you
get a
read to yourself and put
bigger.
yourself to sleep.
Exactly. Okay. You have 30 days to finish it. No, but we don't have an elevator because here at Wave.video, waves are in the water. And so the only thing we could think of that really is consistently known for going up and down in the water is a submarine. So we have the submarine pitch. We're going to, Kate says old people are slower moving, so they're easier to track. That's true. We're going to put you in our submarine, the Wave, the USS Wave submarine. And basically what's going to happen as soon as it starts to submerge is your time. You can talk about whatever you want, yourself, where people can find you, your products, your courses, what you have coming up, what you can get on a soapbox. It's your call. And you have until we come all the way back up to the surface. So with that being said, let's do this. All righty. Now, just in case of any kind of emergency, I'll be right here, okay, to keep you safe. But as soon as we start
to go, that like when I see this, I don't see me in a submarine. It looks more like I'm some kind of weird aquatic mammal or something, like with a head and like a tail, a blue tail and a purple body.
This is your time, by the way.
Here. I know, but I don't have anything to talk about. So I think this might be the most useful use of my time, getting closer to my webcam. So I'm going really big on Twitter now. So I'd love you to follow me at @ByMattJ. That's one of my big things that I'm on. Guide Social Global is my agency. If you want to work with me to do video ads, and I do consulting to help people build their personal brands with video. But yeah, that's it. And I think the biggest soapbox that I'd want to get on right now is just to sort of urge you to think about like life and your experience as more interesting and important than any vanity metric or status dynamic that you could conjure. And I think the real power that I'm still trying to figure out, let me know if you have any secrets, is like, how do I stop looking at what everybody else is doing and comparing myself to those people and trying to define my success based on that? And it seems kind of silly to get so deep, but maybe it's a metaphor. While my face is in a submarine, but maybe it's a metaphor for like how deep we are in the ocean.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I'll let you know too. I felt like you were getting deep and going to a certain place, so we let you keep going. You're the first guest that actually is submerged twice in the water. So congrats on that. Anyway, tell you what, let's give away some stuff, and then we will let everybody get about their day. Okay, this is our last little bit here. We're going to give away a few things. So just congrats to everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Chris, thanks for joining us here in the replay. we're super glad that you're here as well. Looks like he's catching the end of it to get ready to start the beginning of it. But our winners today, congrats to our dear German friend, Eric, who is walking away with your book. And whether or not you guys read it to each other, I will let y'all decide that. And of course, the coffee mug today goes to the man with a face for audio, Jim Fuse. So congrats to those guys for that. Matt, thanks so much for hanging out. I'm so glad we got to connect and a little bit before San Diego and hanging out in San Diego. And we'll see you at Social Media Week Lima, where he will be one of the speakers. And one of the secrets that's not really been put out there too hard is that I will be the MC at that conference, and Wave.video is sponsoring it. So we'll all be there. So if you can make it out to Lima, Ohio in June, middle of June, that's where we'll be. But next week, make sure you join us. We're going to be here same time, Wednesday, noon Eastern. We're going to be here with Dale Roberts, who is a book publisher, actually helped recently publish Ross Brand's new book. But there's a couple of us from Wave.video in 100 live streaming and digital media predictions. He helped produce that, and he's going to share with you ways that you can use your live stream content to help produce and publish your first book as well. So join us next week. We'll be here noon Eastern on Wednesday as we all learn together how to live better.